Hi, this is Chris Brown. I'd like to show you my final project for CIT 336. It's a game built in Java by Chris Brown and Rodrigo Loyo called The Game of Life. And I want to talk about some of the programming structures that we used in the game. Static class variables. Static class variables do not change no matter how many instances of the class that you create. And so they're really handy if you have something that you want to stay the same no matter how many instances of that class that you have. We actually used it in our game class because we had things like this object here to create a log file. And so you wouldn't want a different log file to be created based on where you called that function from the game. So we used static class variables to make that happen. And so you can see that we used the static keyword. That's what makes it a static variable. And here's an instance of where we are creating that log file. We also used class instance variables. Those are a little bit different because those variables can vary or have different values dependent on the instance that they're in. So you could have two instances of a class and those variables could have different values across those two instances. Here's some instance variables that we put into our map class to contain the number of rows and the number of columns in our map. And with instance variables, you refer to those using the keyword this. We also used arrays in our game. Another example from our map class where we have an array of locations. It's a multi-dimensional array, two-dimensional array, to hold those locations. And so you can see here, again, that's a instance variable, so we're referring to it with the keyword this, and we're creating a new array with the number of rows and the number of columns that will get passed into this function. And then we basically loop through those rows and columns and assign values to those attributes, and then assign that object to the array, the current array values. We also used enums in our game. Here's an example. Our game, to play it, you basically go through 4 phases, the same 4 phases that we all go through in life: childhood, adolescence, adulthood, and senior. And so here's the enum class that we built for that, and here's an example of how we used that enum class, where this function was built basically to allow us to move from one phase to the next. If we have no phase, that's the very beginning of the game, then it will set the phase to childhood, and it does that by, again, referring to that enum and using the toString for that enum. And then we do the same thing for adolescence, adulthood, and senior. So that's what we did, one of the things we did with enums. We did use one instance of array lists, and the nice thing about array lists in this instance is we don't know how many scenes in our game the player is going to play, and this class is designed to basically summarize each scene played and the points gathered from that scene. And because we don't know how many they're going to play, then we don't really know the size that array is going to end up. And array lists work really well in that kind of situation because they have dynamic memory allocation, and it makes for very efficient storage. Here is another structure that we used. We used the try-catch for catching errors. This instance is in the function that we built to save our game, and so we wrapped the game saving pieces within this try, and we're catching exception, which is a very high level. That should catch just about any thing that could occur within the saving of the game. And if an exception is generated, it'll be caught here, and then we are throwing a new exception called game control exception, but that is simply just propagating the message from whatever exception we caught here. Here's a different instance where we're in our map class and we're creating the map. And so we put that in a try, and then we catch any map exceptions that are generated, that could be generated from that. And if any are caught, then we propagate those up the stack by just throwing a new map control exception with the message from that error that was caught. I want to talk a little bit about byte streams versus character streams. We used both of those as we built out the game. Byte streams are the original class for reading in and reading out in Java. They read in and out 1 byte at a time, and they work with either binary bytes or ASCII encoded bytes. They are handy and useful when reading or writing serializable Java objects to or from storage, which we did when we built the save game function. But character streams are the newer classes, and those should be used in most cases. They work with Unicode characters, which provides support for international characters. There may be some cases where byte streams are more efficient. Image or sound files would be good examples of binary files where you would want to use byte streams. But other than that, you probably want to be using character streams. And so here's an example of a function that I wrote as part of my individual assignment, and this function prints out the map from our game to a file. And so you can see we prompt the user, they enter the file path and file name, uses this get input, which is a character stream function, and then we call this output map function, which I will show you on the next page. This one uses the print writer stream class, which is a character stream class, and using that we use the print function and the print line function of that print writer class to basically print out the map from our game. And so that's how we used those stream.io functions. And now I would like to go ahead and jump into our game and just kind of show you how that's played. So I'm going to enter my name because that's what it prompts me for. I'm going to start a new game, and I'm going to continue the current phase. That's what you have to do to jump into the game, and it starts me out with childhood phase, as you can see. So there's the childhood menu. I'm going to go ahead and just play through some of these scenarios. You can see that as I play through those scenarios, it tells me how many points I'm awarded for the choice that I made. And now play through the church menu. Some of these you have your menu choices, others you have to input a phrase. Okay, playing through these pretty quick because this video needs to be short. Almost done here. Okay, I've played through all of the childhood scenarios for the most part. So I can go back to my game menu. I can look at the view status. I can see here I've scored 40 points. If I had picked up any items in that phase, those would be listed here. And then it gives me a summary of the points from all of the scenarios I've played so far. So I'm going to go ahead and move now to the next phase, which is this option M. And you can see now it's moved me to the adolescence phase. I'm going to go ahead and play through those. Okay, I've played through all the adolescence ones. I view my status. You can see now I've scored 60 points. I'm going to go ahead and move to the next phase. And now I'm in the adulthood. I'm going to play that. This one has a few more scenarios than the other ones. There's quite a few to play through here. Got a little bit of a problem with my university one, and it actually doesn't display the instructions, but I know the right answer, so I'm going to give that. Okay, I've played through all of the adulthood scenarios. I'm going to view my status. You can see now that I've scored 105 points. And I'm going to move to the next phase, which is now senior. I'm actually going to play the senior start view, which I didn't quite get integrated into the senior menu yet, but I do have a way to play it. This one is a math problem. Okay, so now we're going to jump into that senior menu, play through these. Okay, we're going to do the home scenarios. Okay, I've played through all those. When I view my status from the game menu, I can see now that I've gotten 120 points, and you can see in my summary, here's where I scored the lowest. I scored a -5 on that scenario. Highest was 5 on this scenario. Played 16 scenarios for an average of 4 points per scenario. And to end the game, because I'm in the senior phase, I'm actually just going to choose option M again to move to the next phase. It'll recognize that I am at the last phase, and if I have enough points, it will end the game. I do have enough points. Unfortunately, it wasn't enough points to put me into paradise, but it did let me know that I've earned a place in Spirit Prison. Yay me! Okay, well that's pretty much it. So thanks for viewing. I really appreciate your time.